Welcome to this new YouTube chess channel, UK Chess Events, which is going to focus on various master level tournaments that take place during the chess calendar in the UK. And we're going to kick off with the Nottinghamshire Centenary Grandmaster Invitational Tournament. I'm International Master Andrew Martin, and together with FIDE Master Tim Wall, we're going to be your commentators on Game of the Round from this tournament as it takes place over the next week. I'm recording this during October 2023. The field looks quite exciting. A number of really strong young English players such as Matthew Wadsworth, Jonah Willow, Ankush Khandelwal, and some grizzled old grandmasters like Mark Hebden, who continues to bear the flag for the senior citizens of the chess world, still playing as well as ever. And there are a number of interesting players in this tournament apart from them. So we can look forward to some exciting chess. Just to set the scene for you, I'm going to show you a game from one of Nottinghamshire's finest young players, Ankush Khandelwal. Well, of course, he's not so young anymore, but when he was a junior, he used to really impress me with his original and dynamic style. And I'm going to show you a game he played against Tamas Fodor, Grandmaster, and this was played in London in 2014. And it really encapsulates Ankush's original style as he kicks off with bird's opening, f4. I think we can expect a lot of things from Ankush during this tournament, just taking play away from mainstream openings into original areas where he can let his natural talent shine. Fodor played knight f6, and it's my impression throughout the opening of this game that all black is trying to do is to get a nice solid position and then hope to outplay the young man later on through greater experience and knowledge. So Fodor plays the opening very, very modestly indeed. And Ankush sets up what we call a Leningrad formation. In fact, they play like this with black in the Leningrad Dutch, and this is really this kind of Dutch formation reversed with an extra tempo, although the extra tempo doesn't really come to much in this position. Essentially, we're looking for white to play e4 here to gain some space. When will be the best moment to play that move? Well, Fodor just puts his queen out on b6, and after that, you begin to wonder whether black is going to play c4 and give a discovered check. Ankush doesn't want to worry about that at all, parks his king in the corner, and black simply castles. Now, instead of that, I think d4 would have been a little bit more challenging. But as I say, I think Fodor is not going to try to play too sharply in the opening. He's just going to keep it quiet, keep it solid, keep the pieces flowing out, and hope to outplay Ankush later on. And quite correctly, I think, white expands in the centre. Black continues with the solid approach, just a small capture, and then rook to the open file. And now an interesting move by Ankush. He puts himself into a pin. Knight to d2. Normally speaking, a self-pin would not be desirable. But in this case, I think really it's the only decent move. I mean, if he moves the queen, you can go to queen e2 or queen e1. Then his position lacks coordination, I think is the best way to put it. But after knight d2, he's got a very aggressive idea in mind to play g4. And this is the type of kingside pawn storm you can sometimes get in the Leningrad Dutch or even in the Leningrad bird, as here. And white is planning to march down the kingside and make the black king. So Fodor keeps on developing, hoping that his defences will hold, and Ankush keeps on marching. And now we reach quite an interesting position because it looks as though a pawn is hanging on g5. Well, in the game, Fodor played queen to a6. Now, just dropping back, let's see what happens if he plays bishop takes g5. Now, it looks at first sight as though this loses to knight c4 because suddenly black has 2 units attacked. But black can counterattack and pretend it's an exchange sacrifice with queen to b4. Bishop takes g5, queen takes c4. And now if white takes on d8, we take with a rook. And black's got pretty good compensation for the exchange here. He's got a pawn. White's king is not 100% weak, 100% covered on h1. And black's got some chances. Maybe white could continue with queen to h5. And it's just an unclear situation. Black would play knight to f6, then queen to h4. I think I slightly prefer white here, which is probably why Fodor did not go in for this continuation. Instead, he played queen to a6. As I say, just keeping the game on what he thinks is an even keel. The chances will come later. Ankush continues his fearless march. And one thing I think we could expect from Ankush in this tournament is this same level of fearlessness. He's not afraid, no respect of titles or age in a player experience. He's just going to play his own game. Fodor took on f6. Well, that's a nervy looking move. I wonder if he thought that Ankush wouldn't be brave enough to sacrifice the exchange after g takes f6. I mean, sure enough, that's exactly what white does. Just dropping back to the position after f6. It may have been better just to drop back with bishop f8. That may have offered better defensive chances to black. But here, Fodor takes up the fight, and Ankush goes straight in with the idea of e5. And now it is white who has sacrificed the exchange, and frankly, he's got excellent compensation for it. The main problem for black in this position is clearly the lack of defenders around his king. The king is absolutely wide open, and it's just a question of how white manoeuvres in towards the black king. And Ankush starts off with the right move here, knight to d to e4, which lets the queenside pieces free, which white's going to need to get after the king, and more importantly, lets the queen out. The queen could come out to h5 or g4, and there's also knight f6 waiting to be played at the right moment. So all sorts of things suddenly for black to worry about. Well, he played his king to the corner. White brought the knight in. And now a move I think probably Fodor did not want to make, but saw no opportunity to play anything better, and that was f6. Well, if you think about it, white's main threat, of course, is queen h5. And that would, I think, be curtains if it was allowed. So black can see nothing better than f6. And now white hops in and will regain his exchange if he wishes. Again, if we drop back, I mean, there was an alternative. Certainly knight takes d5 was a move here. The point of which is to give the check now. And it's hard to see what black's going to play, because if he plays king to g8, well, we just take the rook and play c3. And this looks like a tremendous position, well, winning position for white, in view of the unguarded black king. Going back a bit, here we go, knight takes d5, he takes d5, knight f7. If he goes king g7, queen comes in again. And again, the black king is looking not long for this world. But Ankush played knight f7, fair enough. King to g8. And now knight to h6 check. Again, I think knight takes d5 was quite strong. The point of which is that after king takes f7, we bring in the queen. We'll bring in the queen again, and this must lead to a winning attack. This is just one variation. Note the complete absence of defenders for the poor old black king. So knight h6 check was played. King f8, queen came into g4. And now the threats are beginning to mount. And after knight e7, queen h4, I think white is winning. Black cannot funnel enough defenders towards his king to repel the white attack. So black tried bishop c6. In came the queen check. Up came the bishop. And now black is in a serious mess. He gave a check. No worries, says Ankush. King comes up. Well, He could check on c6, but it wouldn't do him much good. He played king to d7, and now I think we can safely say that white is winning. The game continued. Rook d7, queen e4, king c7. The finish is quite nice because it's the complete absence of black counterplay throughout this game, really, that should be worrying for Fodor. In this position, white is simply able to funnel his pieces into good positions, and he knows that if the queens come off, then he's got a winning endgame with the two pieces against the rook and the outside pass pawn. So there was a check. White's king is remarkably safe on g1. Rook came across trying to cause confusion, and now white nicely brings all the rest of his pieces into the game and plays this lovely move, knight fd5 check. Very nice indeed. If the king moves, the queen and rook will penetrate. If black takes, rook f6 was played. And now I think black could safely resign. Plays on for a few moves. Ankush doesn't even take the queen yet. He does now. Bishop d8 check, flashy move. Queen b7 would also have won. But after bishop d8, king a4, queen b7, that was the end. And Fodor resigned. So, although this game was back in 2014, this was an excellent demonstration of Ankush's talent. So we can expect some fireworks from him during this tournament. So do look out for our Game of the Round feature. 2 rounds per day over the coming week. We look forward to the pleasure of your company throughout these Game of the Round features. And for now, this is Andrew Martin signing off.